Hey everyone, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog.
There's our roaster.
Welcome to an evening of roasting.
So
This is an IG live recording, and some of you were DMing me saying,
give a shout out to.
hey, could you explain this?
Oh, she's concentrating. So what are you roasting right now?
Right now I'm roasting Brazil,
Brazil?
which is one half of our black mamba blend.
Okay.
Espresso.
And then afterwards, are you roasting black mamba?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, you're doing black
Okay,
mamba.
so let me just give you the rundown basics of this roast. So we're roasting Brazil. It's a natural coffee. It's a low elevation coffee. My first charge, or my first roast out of the gate, I'm going to charge a little bit hotter, maybe about 5 degrees hotter, okay? So typically I would have roasted this 375 standard charge for this natural coffee. I charged at 380 for this particular one, just to give a little extra oomph because it's a cold machine, okay? So I charged at 380, and it's a full capacity charge, so 1,000 grams. And then I do a 1-minute soak where everything's off. And then after a minute, I turn the heat back on, and I don't go to full power for my naturals. I do 2 kPa. So my full power on this machine with a regulator is 2.5 kPa. So I only go to 2 kPa on this. And then from there, because it's a natural, that should give me enough momentum to run throughout the roast and still get into full city plus territory, okay? So after my soak, it's back up to 2 kPa, and I ride this out until green to yellow transition, which, if I remember correctly, it's around 5 minutes something. So around 5 minutes, check the trier, check the sight glass. I look for my yellow, and I mark it on the roast path. Then I increase the air, and I increase that to about a medium. And on my machine, that's about 70 on the dial. Okay, it's about a medium. And then after that, I'm probably rolling into about 7 minutes. So around 7 minutes, I'm going to lower the heat down to 1 kPa. Now, this is something I haven't made any content about, but I've had a lot better success with. I think I was underdeveloping a lot of my roasts and not really roasting with enough aggressiveness when I needed it, when I have the ability to do it. And I feel like I was roasting sort of timidly. So now this pretty much, across all the green that I carry, we're doing, at 7 minutes, we're landing around 1 kPa in terms of fuel application. And that's been working pretty well for me. So around there, 7 minutes, I'm approaching maybe around 350 degrees on the bean temperature, typically. And I'm going to ride this out till I hear my first outlier cracks. So when I hear like a pop here, a pop there, I'm going to start to increase my air now to about a low-high setting. So maybe about 80 or 90 or something like that, depending, okay? And then from there, I'm waiting, and I'm approaching around 370, 380 first crack of this natural coffee. And when that happens, I increase the air all the way. And I let that ride out for about a minute, and then I just kind of see where I'm going, see where I'm at, make sure I'm not having any tipping or scorching or facing or stuff like that. I have to be careful with natural coffees that I don't scorch them too much or apply too much heat. And here's the kicker. So it depends on how you're finishing it. So if you're doing a light roasted coffee, which I wouldn't do with this Brazil, but if you were doing a light roasted coffee, I'm typically doing a 2-minute post first crack, dropping it, and hopefully getting up to at least 400 to 410 degrees on my bean temp. And I feel like I get the best development that way. So those are kind of like little markers that I look for. And of course, looking through the sight glass and smelling to try and all that stuff. So that's for a light roast, a city roast, okay? So play with that with city plus like that. So when I'm going into full city plus territory or full city, which is medium or like a medium plus, I ride out that 1 kPa. I've got the air maxed out, and I'm probably going for about a 3-minute to 4-minute post first crack development time, or third phase of the roast. And if I need it, then I will bump up the heat. And on the data, you have a little spike at the end. And I was seeing this first and foremost through Bodhi. I said, why do they do that? And I was asking them, oh, it's because we need to get to a certain, bean temperature and development of the bean. I was like, oh, okay, so have I been underdeveloping my roast for this whole time? And that's basically what I found out. And it's hard to tell if you're not like, on it with your cupping and all that stuff, and being like completely dialed in. So I'm glad nobody called me out and said, hey, this shit is underdeveloped. But, for me, I want my coffee to be the best that it can be all the time, every time. And of course, I'm still learning and building what I call that roaster gut. Okay, so that's the only reason why I would bump up the heat at the end, is if I need that extra bit. With this being it's a natural, it's a low elevation coffee, I wouldn't need that. If I had like a Tanzania, I was just saying like in the video that sometimes I would need to do that, is bump up the heat a little bit at the end. And then you have that little spike, which maybe it doesn't look so good to maybe some roasters or something like that. But it's really, what matters is in the cup. How's it tasting? So that's my explanation of that. So if I'm going for it, kind of how you're finishing the coffee depends on what kind of coffee it is. What kind of order you go. Like, what are you doing? Light, medium, dark roast? Those will kind of determine what you're doing there. So I think if you have like first, if you're asking me, why'd you do that? Well, because I needed to. For this particular order, or for this particular roast or bean or whatever it is. So for you as a roaster, and you're learning and you're at home and all that stuff, and you're like, well, why did that person do that? It's like, well, maybe they needed to. For me, I first developed sort of like a standard. I found an easy bean to roast, and I'm like, okay, like it seems to work out like this, and I hit all these markers. Now that's my standard. What are the deviations from this standard, right? And it all depends on your own experience, your own roaster gut, and your own machine, all these other variables that go into it. So that's why I did that, Yeah, so I hope that helps. I hope that makes things a little bit clearer why I was roasting that way. In other news, more exciting things are coming. It's almost the end of 2020. A vaccine has been released. Things are looking up. Things are looking hopeful, which means we may have the green light to go ahead and pursue some other things within coffee. Thank you so much for your support over this last year on YouTube and on IG. And your emails and your DMs have been so sweet and very inspiring. And I thank you for that. And that's the best Christmas gift I could get, is knowing that people are enjoying what I'm doing. Not only my coffee, but even the content that I create. So that's cool. And I really thank you for that, because this is my creative outlet, my therapy. So I will be doing a video about bags and labels. Such a headache for me. So I think it would be helpful if I can whittle away at some more knowledge and some more experience for anybody who's interested. And also, we will be starting our own coffee trailer or pop-up. We don't know yet, depending on how much things are. I'll be documenting the whole process. I can't wait to share that with you guys, and I'm even more excited about documenting it than getting the trailer because I like to see the progression and make the videos and all that stuff. But we'll see. It's probably a tie in terms of excitement. But I often keep my excitement under my hat, so to speak. And speaking of my hat, I forget who asked me about this hat, but I just ordered it for myself through Printful. It's like a print-on-demand place. But if you are interested in it, I enabled it once again to be purchased through our Etsy shop. I started on Etsy at first, so it's still there. It's just kind of sitting there now, but it's the easiest way that I could think of for it to be shipped to you and for the shipping to be at its lowest. So you can get this through the Etsy shop. The link will be in the description if you're interested in this hat. It's basically a snapback, classic green underside here, embroidery with the logo, and it's gold and white embroidery, and it's just black, and it's just clean. It's just clean, cool hat, and I love hats. So, if anybody was digging this hat, okay. I think that's everything, and we kept this video relatively short, so I'll let the rest of this video continue, and yeah. Okay, bye-bye. Cool. We can show them the roast curve there.
Cool. Let's see that roast curve here. There it is. Did you hit first crack already?
I did.
Okay. When was first crack?
At 8:58.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we're gonna ride this a little bit, and with when you're not roasting light, I've been learning that a lot of like big boy roasters, they bump up the heat a little bit at the end, so they do have this little spike at the tail instead of the ROR just slowly descending, always be descending, which I found interesting. So I've been messing around with that too, and just cupping and seeing what happens with the development. And like Bodhi does that. So yeah, always experimenting. Like every chance to roast is experimenting. If you're first getting into espresso too, I think what really helped me, if this is an issue for you, is a naked portafilter. That really could show you any faults in your distribution and tamping. And that helped me a lot. And now I pull really good shots now, even with my little barista express. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, concentrate.
Oh, we're okay. We're good. I said 12:30, right? I want to go a little more. I'm looking for the face of the bean to swell a little bit, and you can, that's how I tell, like, kind of visually if it's still concave or it's flat or it's swelled like that, the face of the bean. So it's there. Good, on, open, and go. So I'm going to do one more of this again, and then I'm going to move on to the next coffee. So yeah, I'll let you guys have a look at this while I heat up again here. We'll just boost that. Yeah, I can hold it.
I got it.
Okay.
There
So this is our Brazil. Not too long. You want to cool it down fast. You don't want to let the coffee sit in its own heat after it's been dropped because it's continuously cooking. So you want to stop that, right? You want to freeze that in a way. So you want to cool the coffee as quickly as possible. And there's a fan under here that sucks the heat as fast as possible. And then you have the cooling arms to help agitate it so that it cools as quickly as possible.
So 9bar is asking, any tips on developing a palate for espresso tasting? I'm struggling there.
Try a lot of espresso. Like go to your favorite coffee shop, go to maybe your not so favorite coffee shop, go to small time people like me, there's tons of people like me, and just taste. That's it. That's the best advice I've gotten, and that I always hear repeatedly when I ask professional cupping people and tasters and things like that, even with whiskey and wine. They're like, try everything. keep trying stuff, you know, and that's gonna build your palate. And a second thing to that, which is a little bonus that I learned from Lauren, the Mill City Roaster, she's like, when you eat a raspberry, when you eat a strawberry, when you eat an apricot, like try to be very present with it and go, okay, this is apricot, right? And try to give language to what you're tasting. And then you go, this is strawberry. Because sometimes we just eat and we're like unconscious about it. But if you're conscious about what you're eating and you're tasting, and maybe you even write stuff down, that's a really good tip too.
Cool.
You'll build it.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Okay, so I'm gonna get ready for the next drop. I'm gonna lower this down, so I'm gonna save this. And I'm gonna go get more coffee. But
Cool.
Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'm gonna get to work and concentrate. It's hard to talk and roast at the same time, but I always do it. I'm trying to get better at it, so
Cool.
Thank you for the practice.
All right, thank you guys.